Heartbreaking images of children being pulled from the rubble in Turkey and Syria. Some, of course, separated from their families and indeed orphaned. But what happens to those children next?
Well, firstly, it's been a very, very challenging couple of days. There are many difficulties, many challenges. I have to take the opportunity to, talk. When we're talking about the orphans, we understand that there is an established authority here in Turkey. There are great coordinating efforts. Right now, I'm actually at one of the warehouses where lots of the supplies are coming in. Things are happening in a very organized manner. In terms of the children and your question, a lot of the healthcare workers took care of them on the first nights. We have to understand the context. We have to understand that a lot of the families know each other. A lot of the people are very close with each other. We also know that all of the people who unfortunately are passing, all their details are recorded, and government officials, organizations that are government agencies are taking care of matters like this.
And when it comes to looking after children, that's the picture very much in Turkey, where things seem a lot more coordinated. But how does that compare to what's happening in northern Syria?
Well, I think what's really important, and I want the viewers to understand, I've been working in the humanitarian space for 15 years. This disaster is unprecedented. The level of scale of damage is unbelievable. I mean, yesterday, visiting very close to the epicenter, I was looking at piles of rubble that were over 15 meters in height. That's in Turkey. In Syria, for which you rightly asked the question about, there was already a humanitarian crisis that's been going on for 12 years. A couple of months ago, we were responding to the cholera outbreak. There are people who've had multiple displacements. There are children who are the generation of suffering. They're children who've been born in war or born as refugees and born into difficulty. So it's a major concern for aid agencies like ourselves. We have an extensive orphan sponsorship program. We have extensive programs that support the psychosocial elements for the children, providing education for them and also having them work with specialist psychosocial workers. We also have programming for Syria that's been going on since the offset of the crisis. Similarly for this, our programming now, it's about emergency, and post-emergency we will focus on matters like this. We will also do our utmost best to the level of our capacity that we can to ensure that the children and all of those who are in need receive the support that they do. It's challenging. It's going to be something that really puts whatever progress has been made, especially in northwest Syria, which just a couple of days ago, and I was talking to my colleagues, there were bombardments. We were doing fresh bread delivery to families about 20 kilometers from the border inside Syria, and there was bombardment going on just a couple of days ago prior to the earthquake. So it's still a war that's going on there. This is only going to make that a lot more difficult. We're going to have to do our best, and our message to the international community is the support is needed. There is really good work going on from aid agencies like Islamic Relief, who've got the understanding, who've got the know-how. We just need to upscale what we're doing, especially in the absence, unfortunately, of really an established authority there in northwest Syria.
And Salah, you make a very powerful point that for many of these children, trauma, displacement is something that they've always known, given their young age. Do we have any sense at this stage in the crisis of the scale of the impact on children in Turkey and northern Syria?
I can only tell you what I've seen firsthand, and I can see last night I was in Nurdege, which is very close to the epicenter. It's a town, 50,000 population, very close to Gaziantep, and I was talking to some families. And when talking to them, the mothers were explaining to us that their children, even though there is shelter that is available, their children are refusing to go into that shelter because of the psychological impact. They're afraid. They do not want to go into any buildings because they're only sort of thinking of a building is their last memory when they had to escape a building that was collapsed. What happened, we need to understand the context. There was the first earthquake, followed by the second earthquake. Up until yesterday morning, we ourselves felt tremors. So it's understandable, especially for children, that they do not want to return to buildings. The psychological impact of the earthquake is there. This is something that this generation is historically going to remember because it is the biggest earthquake that has happened in a century here in this region. It's huge. The impact is going to be long-lasting. The support is also needed long-lasting. So we're calling out to the media. We're thanking yourselves for highlighting it and giving so much attention, rightfully because of the scale. But we need that continued, showcasing and bringing to the world's attention the reality of what's going on. And then we need the continued support of organizations like ourselves to help us to continue the work that we're doing.
OK, Salah Abougaslem, Deputy Director of Partner Development from Islamic Relief. Many thanks for sharing all of that on the News Hour.